I'm with Matt Batzel from American Majority. We're here at CPAC 2016, and there's a lot of people here. It's a big event, and I've been coming to CPACs for a lot of years, and these events really draw a lot of conservatives, and it's the kind of audience that many of us are reaching out to. And what is American Majority looking for?
Yeah, so we're here training. We've got an activism boot camp going on 3 days here at CPAC, training conservatives on how they can accomplish their political goals, get involved in campaigns. American Majority is the national conservative training organization that really goes around the country and does in-depth training on critical topics like how to run for office, how to use social media effectively, how to volunteer, how to hold elected officials accountable. And so we're here just getting down into the nuts and bolts of how to make an impact in politics.
And one of the things that is always a challenge is and especially with this election, what defines a conservative?
Yeah, I've got my definition of a conservative, someone who believes the Founding Fathers' vision for our country, and they see the separation of powers, limited government, free enterprise system, in the family and life critical to that as well, and a strong national defense. I mean, I think that's what a conservative is, but certainly different people are going to define that differently. And this conference draws in people that are more libertarian, people that are all over the spectrum in different ways, and under a big banner are able to talk and discuss the issues. We want to make sure that we're mobilizing conservatives to know how to win elections and not just sit back. Part of it's the nominating process of who is nominated, who is the nominee, and I'm really talking about local offices and state offices. That's where we do our training, where we can have the biggest impact of people that are running for office, maybe for the first time, taking on an incumbent that's been entrenched. Maybe they've been voting the wrong way recently, and so we try to get in depth on how do you make an impact there, and how do we train up a new generation of conservative leaders to be sharing our values, representing our values in office.
Yeah, sounds good. Our audience out there, you folks are pro-life people, and what do you say to the pro-life people? I mean, you do training, conservative training. How do you reach out to the folks? I mean, the pro-life base is a big base for the conservative movement. What do you say to them?
Yeah, so we train a number of pro-life groups. I'm based in Wisconsin, and so we work closely with a lot of pro-lifers there. We've done some trainings elsewhere. I was recently in the greater Chicagoland training at a pro-life conference. Part of it is learning more how to engage in politics. Certainly pro-life people are very good in certain ways in politics, but try to add to your toolbox. Get involved, help, find obviously candidates that stand up for your values and help them to win. But even think about running for office yourself. You may realize that your incumbent isn't representing your values, and the best person to represent your values is you. So think about running for office, even just getting involved locally. The life issue may not come up in a school board meeting, but if you gain experience at the local level, you're going to be in a good position to run for higher office, maybe where you will make a bigger impact. And so I think all too often, all stripes of conservatives stay on the sidelines and don't get involved themselves. Certainly it's great to volunteer, but we need more people to think about, should I run for office? I can represent these values and I can articulate them well. I'm passionate about it. So get involved and think about running for office.
Yeah, you bet. And being in office, running for office is critical, because we can't just sit on the sidelines. We have to have representatives that actually represent us on the issues, and it's a tough thing to do. I mean, whenever I see the movies about politicians and what they go through in order to become elected, I mean, it's mud, it's sticks and stones, and it's hell to pay if you run for office. So, what do you say to encourage people to, run for office? People who are out there that are maybe, thinking about it, but they're, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, understand that you're putting yourself out there, that think about your history and think about what people would use against you if they look on, what your history is, what letters to the editor have you written, and other things that are publicly available. But the reality is we need more people to step up. And part of the problem is when conservatives stay at home, we stay on the sidelines, we watch other people do it. And we just need to find the right people. So you may not be the person who can run, but think through your friends and your neighbors, the people involved in your local group that could step forward, that are uniquely positioned, maybe called to run for office, and encourage them and offer your support. So if you're not the person to run, find the person to run. You're going to have a great amount of influence over them. Once they would get elected, they're going to take your phone calls, they're going to listen to you more than your typical politicians. But another note for pro-lifers is we can't just accept the status quo. If someone claims to be pro-life and then votes that opposite way in office, they need to be challenged. And I see that there are some groups that are more willing to do that than others, but we need to be realizing that they're going to use that pro-life message and talk that way and hope no one's paying attention. If they get away with that once, they're going to do it again. And so we have to set down the guidelines of, no, if you do that, you go against that, there will be some consequences for that, and we will find someone who is pro-life to challenge you.
That's wonderful. And that's very important too, is not just to push the button and walk away, it's afterward. What's going on? Is the person doing what we expect them to do? And what we've seen right now, this particular election is probably one of the most challenging elections that I've ever seen since I've been in this country. And in Germany, there are many parties. I mean, there's a dozen parties in Germany. In America, typically we're used to two-party system. And it makes it challenging because each party sort of has to become a big tent to accept the people who have that vision. So in our case, the Republican Party typically, they're pro-life. The pro-life base is strong, and almost all the people, whether they're the hardest conservatives or, everyone from Donald Trump to Mike Huckabee to Santorum, Ben Carson, all of these people out there are reaching out to the pro-life people because they're such a strong base, right?
Yeah.
So, that's an important thing. And as far as this goes, this Big Ten approach, it can be difficult, and we can't, make everything perfect for everyone, but we do the best we can, right?
Yeah, it's good to have a Big Ten, I think. But I think part of it, too, is understanding that a lot of legislators view pro-lifers in a demographic. And as if I say I'm pro-life on my website, then I can get your vote. And behind closed doors, they complain about pro-lifers, and it's a dirty little secret that that they really aren't pro-life, but they will vote that way, just like they'll vote on other issues, or maybe they just don't care that much about it. And again, that's why it's so valuable to find people who are passionate about the life issue, that will stand up for that will accept the political ramifications of taking a stand on principle. Leadership may not like that, but they're willing to challenge the status quo and do what's right. And so we need more people like that. And part of it, if you're an activist, speak out, hold your elected officials accountable. And if you sense that they're just paying lip service to the pro-life movement, call them out for that. Make sure that you communicate that and organize. And it's not just yourself, but organize people to understand that. And don't just give out, pro-life endorsements like, it's free candy for any Republican or something.
I'll tell you what, I'm so pleased. I'm so happy to hear you say that. It's really refreshing to hear someone say, it's not just a word, there's more to it. And somebody, they have to actually do something. When we vote for people that run for office, there's got to be a next step. They've got to do something. And one of the things that I've been discouraged with is that, when President Bush, the younger, was in power, we had the Congress, we had the presidency, and there was nothing pushed forward to end abortion. I was so frustrated. I was shorter hair back then. I was pulling my hair out, and what do we do in those kinds of situations?
Well, again, it's where we have to have a long-term approach to it, and ideally, the next time that comes to fruition, we've got majorities who actually are passionate about these issues and not just paying lip service to the pro-life movement. So what you can do about it now, is build for the next one, and understand that politics is year-round. It's not just showing up between Labor Day and election day in November. Getting involved in the primary process, but even beyond November of 2016 is staying involved and holding them accountable, making sure they understand that it's political suicide to go against pro-lifers in their district. If they see that there's a strong organization locally that cares and tries to be friendly. You don't have to make political enemies here, but be friendly but make sure the message is clear that there is a strong movement here, that you better do what we want, and demand it. And frankly, there will be consequences if you don't do that. So part of it's standing on principle, looking beyond, staying beyond the election and getting involved and staying involved once people are in office, hold them accountable. But again, long before, calling the day of a vote is not going to influence a legislator to change their mind one way or another. It's those personal relationships that you can develop now by helping them get elected, and beyond the November election, talking to them and sharing issues, and having a relationship with them is critical.
You bet. One of the things we have is a monthly call for life. It's monthlycallforlife.com. We encourage everyone on the first Friday communicate with their representatives and tell them, hey, we're pro-life, we want you to end abortion. And some of the people say, well, come on, you're just burning people out, it's the topic all the time. It's like, this topic can never go away. It needs to be fresh in people's minds. minds every single month, in my opinion. And every time they're voting, and every time they turn around and they're looking to us for their votes, it needs to be fresh in their minds. And I've gotten responses from representatives who've called me back, emailed me back, and said, glad to hear from you, like to talk to you, and people do talk. So we need to communicate with our representatives, and let them know how we feel. American Majority here, I see you have the Leadership Institute on there as well. So you interact with the Leadership Institute to provide classes on conservative understandings, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so for the boot camp this year, it's co-sponsored by American Majority and the Leadership Institute, and so we're working together to put together a great lineup of speakers here at CPAC, covering everything from social media to data technology. I think right now we've got Tate Brooks, our Vermont Executive Director, training on how to, what are the races we can look to from last cycle to learn how to win, especially in blue areas. And so, there's all sorts of fascinating topics going on at the boot camp this year, and we're happy to work with other organizations. Thankful to CPAC for having us in this year.
That's great. So how do people find out more about you?
Yeah, American Majority. Our website is americanmajority.org. You can find us on Twitter at AM_national is our Twitter account. You can find us on Facebook and social media as well. But the best place to connect with us is our website, americanmajority.org. We've got a host of resources if you want to run for office. If you want to host a training in your community, you can request one. If you get a group of friends together, or maybe your local pro-life group, or we'd love to come in and train you on how to be effective in politics, how to find candidates, how to hold them accountable, and how to really have a groundswell movement that is fearsome, really, to the legislators, that they want to listen to you and do what you want.
Yeah, that sounds good. So we encourage you to get involved. Go to the website, check it out, learn more. We have to do things. Armchair warriors aren't going to win this battle. I mean, we've got to be active. We've got to be engaged. Thank you, Matt, for taking the time to speak with us today. And we encourage you. I am encouraged by what you've been saying about the life issues, and I pray that there's more of that we take a stand for those who can't speak for themselves. And appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Peter. Appreciate it.